Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-match analysis show here on American Scouser TV. I am Gally. I'll be hosting today, and I'm joined by Brian Shelton. Brian, how are you after that 90 minutes of stress-laden football?
Stressed, but a win's a win.
Yeah, very happy to have the 3 points. Also happy to be joined by Kazi. Kazi, my friend, we said it wouldn't be, I think both of us felt like it wouldn't be all that easy. I did think we'd probably win by more goals. We'll start with you on this one. Break down what we just saw, because other than the great to get 3 points, that was a shite performance. If we're rating on performances, it's shite, but results matter at the end of the day over a whole season. And Chelsea's won titles playing 38 times like that in a year, you know? So what have you, before we get into any one player, what was your overall take from the match?
Shite. Yeah. Thought we were crap. It's just a weird game. I thought we just looked a bit lackadaisical and a little bit like this is too easy kind of thing, especially in the first 35 minutes. We felt like, we were always in control of the game, but we never were in control of the game. We were playing like we had a 3-0 lead, and it was just a bit weird. I don't know. And then, of course, we get the goal, which is great. It's a great header from Kanate. You should get 6 a season, the size of the fella. Fuck me. If you don't get 6 a season when you're built like him, then you're in the wrong team. And then you kind of come out and then don't start well again, second half. And I was like, oh, you'll come out now, so you'll put the foot on the gas. You've got one. Let's go. 3-4-0, yeah. I'm also as well, you guys probably like me a little bit, where I don't care about how many goals you score as long as you play well. Liverpool walk off the pitch there and Sam Johnson's made 12 saves, and you go, all right, fair enough. You know what I mean? So Liverpool still win the game 2-1. You go, but we played really well. We just didn't play well. It was just weird. And they get their goal by just calamity stuff, weren't it? It really was poor from, I think it's poor from Szoboszlai, letting Lamina just run off him so easily in midfield. And then Kanate and Alisson, bit of a confusion. Kanate's got to take command, in my opinion. And
once it gets to the point when he sees that Alisson's not there, he just kind of like, and then he goes down so soft. Instead of just throwing a foot at it, kick it out for a corner. But figure out what's going on here.
I don't know if it's like a new wave of football players where they just don't want to kick the ball out for corners or throw-ins anymore. They just try and do little 10-yard passes into midfield when you've got 4 men around you.
I mean, you talked about it with Diaz trying to Cruyff turn in his own box. Step over type move in your own box. And Mo, I'll give him credit. Late in the extra time, Mo is back defending on that cross and gets the header.
Last 10, he's great.
But he also turns the ball around at one point when he's back there defending, and you're like, now I remember why we tell you not to get too close to defending, because he's kicking the ball back to Trent, and it's like, just kick the ball out of bounds. Give him a throw, even if you have to there. Alan jumped in, greetings, boys. Hey, Alan, as always. If you're watching us on any of the areas, just jump in, get your comments in. We'll bring them up on screen. We'll touch on them. Brian, I asked you during the pre-match show, about the manager's dilemma between Diaz and Gakpo. I think we all felt like once Diaz got the start, we'd see Gakpo come, start the Champions League match. All well and good. Diaz probably put in his worst 90 minutes or most inconsistent 90 minutes. So it looked a lot like the Diaz we were used to last year. What do you attribute that to? Do you think it might be change of form? Do you think it's just he had a bad day? Was it how Wolves maybe set up to try to combat that left-hand side? Because I thought Robertson was good all in all.
I think Lamina came there and they had quite a battle right there through that first half. I mean, so there was a lot of problems. I think that Diaz was trying to overcome the gap, but it's almost like there was a little bit of disconnect. Like kind of like it was a weird game, like Kazi was saying right there. I mean, we didn't really play up to our standards. I mean, in that match, I mean, there was just a lot of problems on that left hand side, which is where most of our attack has been for this entire season. We're just disconnected. So didn't get that Diaz hat trick I was hoping for. Didn't get that 5-0 win I was hoping for either. But these days happen. But if we can grind out results, kind of got to do it.
We got the 3 points, so I'll take that. And as the most important thing, two biggest things for me. You get the 3 points, and barring that being much worse on Robertson, you get out with no injuries, you get 3 points, you win a road game in the Premier League. The officiating, once again, becomes a story. Anthony Taylor always seems to make himself part of the story. Kazi, I didn't think it was maybe as bad as some were making it out in the Discord. I think we're at the point now where we just watch every match and immediately, if we see Anthony Taylor, if we see Michael Oliver, it's got to be the worst officiated match of all time. He does love to blow his whistle because he likes himself some camera time, I think. But all in all, I thought Jota was booked for actually jawing at the ref, not for the tackle. And to me, that if he gets dissent there, he gets dissent there. I didn't think Taylor was that poor today. In many ways, I thought the play of both sides caused the ref to keep blowing whistles because they just kept breaking up play needlessly constantly.
I mean, for me, Jota is a yellow card. That's a yellow.
Yeah.
It's Achilles. And by the way, the referee then books Forbes for the same thing on Robertson. Yep. Exactly the same challenge, just scrapes down his Achilles and books him anyway. So there's your consistency that you want. I don't want to talk the ref today, fella. This not on the ref at all. Wow. Do you know what I mean? Andre got booked, which he comes over the top of the ball. It's a booking. Like Trent gets booked because he kicks the ball away. So these are all bookings. Like this is not. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
and he called the penalty. He called it himself too. He didn't wait for VAR.
It's all day. It's a pen.
And he called it, and he took his time. I thought this was a good performance by Anthony Taylor. If I'm going to criticize him, I'm going to give him credit on the games where he does.
Oh, if you start a fucking chat fella criticizing Anthony Taylor, I'm in all day. But today, you know what I mean? Today I can't really, this is more based on Liverpool, but go back to our game, mate. We didn't play well, but listen, I'm not here to fucking sit here, cry and bitch and moan. Liverpool aren't going to play well for 38 games and win the league. We've done that once before and did win the league. But it gets to a stage where you've just got to grind, and Arsenal 2-2 with Leicester up until the last few minutes, and they fell asleep a little bit. So, there's a few big individual performances that the manager needs to look at in good or bad. I was digging them out a little bit in the Discord, but Szoboszlai, mate, you're getting to the stage, fella, where it's actually just taking him out for his own good a little bit. I do think that now. You're like, he had a week off against West Ham. It looked like he fucking played all week. It looked like he played a match every fucking day before Saturday. Couldn't run. I love we all love his power and his running power because he can run you 13, 14k. Listen, he couldn't run today. It genuinely looked like he couldn't run. And Jones comes on and shows him what he can miss a bit. Like just a bit of quality in and around their box. Jones has a really good strike. Should score. It's a good strike, really. But he does a few clever passes. Jones is the one who wins the ball back when Salah should play him back in. Jones is the one who gets the block in. Do you know what I mean? When Salah should play him in. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like that was a bad performance. And Kanate, of course, gets his head in the game. Makes his mistake, but bounces back a little bit well. He has a little sticky 5 to 10 after the mistake, I think, and then he gets back. He gets back well in the game. I didn't think Diaz was great today.
No.
So that's just something else. The thing is, for the players who didn't play well today, there's players who are in form on the bench. So it's not like Conor Bradley, for example, like Trent didn't play well because Bradley's not really in flying. Jones is flying after West Ham, and so is Cody Gakpo. Do you know what I mean? So they're two that could actually sit there and go, I might get a start here. I might play well against Bologna, and then you could be starting Palace away. So, but I'm just super pleased, fella. Listen, if you would have said to me after 6 games, Liverpool at top of the league, great. We all would have took it, of course. And the last thing I want to kind of mention, and this is important for all fans, and I've said it for years and years, draws kill you. Draws kill. It's not losses, it's draws. Liverpool under Klopp do 1 game in a season and lost the league because we drew too many fucking games. We did under Rafa in 08-09. We lost 2 and didn't win the league. And United lost 5, but won the league by 4 points or something. So draws kill. So when you look at like City, for example, drawing the last 3, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you see, you've already got one on City. By the way, City and Arsenal undefeated. We're above them. We're above them. And they're undefeated. So, I just want I'm so happy that in a weird way, I know this sounds a bit lost again, lads. I'm going to move on in a sec, that we've lost. Like, it's not going to be carried on. When we don't lose until like November, December, it's like, oh, Liverpool's fit. No, it's lost. It's gone. It's gone. Pressure's gone. We've lost the game. I don't want to fucking hear about it now. Do you know what I mean? I remember when we got to like January, February one time, we lost to Watford in March. And everyone was like, we're going to go invincible, right? And all that. I'm not, Watford away, Dejan Lovren, that's a Dejan Lovren day, doesn't he? And we lose to Watford 3-0 away, and everyone was going, undefeated. I just want to win the fucking league. I'm made up that we've lost the game in a weird way. Let the pressure go on City and Arsenal kind of thing for that kind of stuff.
Sideline Football Show says, big up, guys. First time here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the madness. If you haven't given the page a subscription, please do. And you'll get all kinds of updates, and you'll see a lot more of our ugly mugs than you really ever want. More importantly, you'll actually have to hear our opinions, which is probably what you definitely don't want. Speaking of some opinions, I want to touch on something Kazi said there. We'll get to the draws thing because I do agree with him. He said it many times in Discord. And I do agree with it, but I want to go to you, Brian. I want to touch on the comment that Kazi made about Konate because I did think he looked a little shaky the next 5-10 minutes, which, you know, I always call him he's like a striker in some ways. I feel like he's a defender who needs to be in form and play well when he's on confidence, and when he's not confident, you can see it in him and he's shaky. I really did like how he responded, though. I know some people were calling for him to get hooked after the yellow, but I thought his play, specifically in extra time, was really good when he made those two big clearances and the big block. He almost celebrated that block as much as he did his goal in the first half. So what is your thought on the response that he had? And do you think that we are seeing Konate really bet in as Virgil's number one partner and really the long-standing future of that position here at the club?
I mean, I think he responded well. I mean, we've seen other defenders. I mean, I remember watching Sacco make these type of mistakes right there and lose his head for the entire match, you know, and then we just turn into a complete shit show. But I mean, with him right there, I mean, he came there, lost it for. I mean, I know initially right there he was really shaky for like the first 5 minutes, but then it seemed like he leveled his head out a lot. I mean, and a defender should celebrate a block. I mean, that's what their job is, and you know, to handle that well. I mean, I think that Konate right there is setting himself up if he stays healthy, and I think that the way that we're training now is a little bit different from what the way Pep Linders had his setup was, where we were running the hell out of these guys right there every day with double and triple sessions, and I think that that we may see a lot more of these players who we thought were injury prone over the past like 2-3 seasons actually could get a string of games and stay healthy. But yeah, I think that Konate's setting himself up, and I think that was a bold decision that Slot made that first match by pulling Kwanzaa and putting Konate in that spot. And I think that kind of solidified the mentality right there for Konate to go out there to keep moving himself forward.
Sideline Football Show says Konate's first half, he was man of the match with his goal and his defense, but almost ruined the party in the second half, was switched off. And I don't think he's wrong. He did lose his focus. I do like how he responded from it. So Sir Z has let us know that he has recovered from the Sobo shit show. And I was going to say this program is brought to you by Sir Z's heart and impending heart attack, which he has told us will be coming by November. So the cardiologist might as well get him on speed dial. We're going to have a sponsorship by our next Carragher 24-hour podcast. We'll have a sponsorship by a few cardiologists as well, between Timuchin and Sir Z. And, you know, Sideline Football Show says, you know, he did not know Sobo was such a baller, but he feels like this role is not for him.
I have a question then. I have a question here then. What's his role?
Well, where I was going to go was all I heard was he's not an 8 who can play in a 4-3-3. So if you're not a 10, what are you?
I don't know what he is. I don't want him sitting alongside McAllister or Gravenberch. I can't trust him defensively. Can't trust him to put the work rate off the ball. Don't think he wins the ball back enough either. So I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's like a bit of a spare part in this team. And by the way, this is not just like a sideline comment. This is the thing of how do we get the best out of him. Listen, we all want Liverpool players to succeed. You know what I mean? Like I say this all the time. We all want them to play well because that means Liverpool win trophies. So I just don't know what his best position is. I just don't think I want him sitting alongside those two in any of those positions. I'm not sure. He feels like an old school centre midfielder, which is a bit outdated in this game a little bit. So I don't know, mate. But his biggest problem right now, Szoboszlai, is Curtis Jones because he's playing well. When he comes on, you know, he played well against West Ham. He's come on again, play well. Do you know what I mean? I was disappointed with the manager a little bit in terms of the subs. I thought he left them too late. I'm completely honest with this, and I do have a bit of a bad taste in my mouth still off Ipswich. I really do. You sub the kid. It's an easy decision to sub the kid, and you could have subbed any of them that day. And you decided to sub the kid. You've hung him out to dry a little bit in the post-match interview. And there was a lot of there's been a lot of senior players at Forest and today who could have got subbed at half time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you haven't made that decision. I want you to make that big one today. Do you know what I mean? Go to Sabah's like, now you're getting hooked, like you hooked the kid. Because it's always easy to hook a kid off. We all know this. It's easy to hook the young lad off. Do you know what I mean? I want them to do it again today. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I do have a bad taste over that. I really do. But hopefully, you know, and I'm not saying he was right or wrong, by the way, because Canate's come in and been excellent. I'm not saying he's right or wrong there. I'm just saying there's been other people who've put in worse performances than Quansah's 45 at Ipswich in the last few games, and you've done fuck all about it in the first half. Do you know what I mean? That sticks to me, it really does. But going back to a fella, I don't know what his best position is, but his biggest issue right now is Curtis Jones. It really is.
I mean, in my opinion, his best position is a right attacking midfielder, which we don't have, which we're not set up for. Yeah. I mean, that's what he played at Leipzig. He played as either that or as a wing on the right wing, and we just don't have that position set up for him. I mean, I think that we more or less did when we had Klopp there, when you had a flat three midfield. I mean, then he sits off on the right side. But with the way we're set up here with a double pivot and having a number 10, there's not a spot for him right there, in my opinion. I think he's, like you said right there, I think he's kind of like excess parts. But the price tag that you put on him right there kind of makes you forcing you to play him in a way right there, which, in my opinion, I think Maka is the natural person that should be in that 10th spot. I mean, and I said in the pre-match that right there, that if we would have came and got a natural 6 in that spot right there, I think that Maka would have been your number 10. I think that he's more of a playmaker. He's more creative. Jones the same way. Harvey the same way. But it's not Szoboszlai. It's not his spot.
Yeah.
If Harvey Elliott was healthy, he'd have an even bigger problem because there'd be 2 young kids playing better than him right now, and that probably would have his spot. I will say this. I know someone in the chat, I think it was Sideline Football Show, said maybe swap Maka and Sobo. See, here's the thing, and I'm coming around to what Timuchin is saying about this, because the more I watch, Maka does everything Arne Slot wants out of his deepest midfielder. He creates, he breaks the lines and passes. He can create something with his little over-the-top little dinks, and he breaks up play so much better than he's given credit for in his tackling and stopping the counters. And he did it 4 or 5 times today where he just did it so well. I think he fits it, and because of it, he's a perfect partner for Gravenberch. And it's allowed Gravenberch to look really well, who I thought wasn't as imperious in his performance today as he has been, but he was very good. But part of being very good today was he was around an awful lot of players who weren't. One guy who I thought was a little off of his normal heroics, but, you know, a well-taken penalty will make a good goal scorer look like you had a good match, was Mo Salah. Not his best day. On a different day, if those were 2 drop points, I think we would be looking, you know, say we had drawn that match somehow, I think we would be looking at a couple of those Salah opportunities, not even the volley that falls to him. That's a bang bang. You either make a worldie or you miss and you do this, you know, in anger. Not getting the ball to Jones in that position is pretty much criminal. That being said, Jones might have been offside. So thank you, Mo, if that was the case, because I wouldn't want to have heard, oh, see, that's why he's shite and shouldn't be at the club, even though he did more in his first 5 minutes than Szoboszlai might have done over a collective 5 starts so far this season. What do you say to the front 3 today? Because I didn't think any of them were off to the races or look great. But Jota is Jota. He has a wonderful cross. He gets taken down for the penalty. He worked his ass off.
Exactly.
You know, what is it about this matchup? What was it about what Wolves did, or was it just guys having a bad run, Kazi? What do you think?
I don't know, really. Listen, I think they were good defensively. I did think they were good, but I thought Jota played kind of well, to be honest. I thought he had a proper away striker's performance, where if it's not going your way and you're not getting the ball, you still got to be involved in the game. Do you know what I mean? As you say, he takes the foul for the pen. It's a great cross in for the goal as well. You know, Salah will walk off and go, well, I made the pen. Because his ball's a joke. The ball's unbelievable, by the way, from Salah. That big ball, the keeper can't come, and he gives the striker, you know what I mean, the option. Jota scores, in my opinion, if Jota gets there. So, and then he also says, I'll score the pen as well. So he's involved as well. But I do agree, I don't think there was enough cohesion there. You know, I thought Gakpo wasn't great when he came on either.
No.
Lackadaisical as well. And we were all begging for it to happen. And Diaz, we've discussed before, he was poor. So, but you're going to get those games, guys. You know, these players are still learning a new system. We're 8 games in. And I say 8 because of the cup games that we played. We're 8 games into the new manager's tenure. Do you know what I mean? And Liverpool conceded 3, I think. Yeah, 3 now? 4? 3.
4 total.
4.
Including the 2 in the champion.
Yeah,
One
Pulisic wants an own goal. Yeah, Pulisic wants an own goal. And Nottingham Forest, which is just a great finish, and today, which is a bad error. So there's probably 2 that you can avoid, including the own goal. So I just feel like we're going to get these mad performances and these odd performances. But as long as you win, you can fall into a title race. I say this, I always go back to 13-14. It always sticks in my mind so much when we just fell into the title race. Liverpool were in at the end of February. Liverpool were in 4th at the end of February. Chelsea are like fucking 12 points clear or something of Liverpool. And then Liverpool just fall into it. I think Chelsea lose their own to Middlesbrough. No, Sunderland. Sunderland beating 3-0. And then it's just Liverpool. I think Liverpool win that weekend, and then Liverpool win the last 12, apart from the Chelsea game. So going back to it, it's like you get to the point where you might just fall into it, but you can lose the league now. You can lose the league now. So the best performances will come. There's going to be inconsistencies all around. But as long as Liverpool keep winning, you never know what can happen in March and April time when your performances do maybe start clicking, you know what I mean?
Brian, as far as we start to turn the page and look towards the Champions League now, a few minutes left here in the post-match, I think end result, 3 points today, top of the table, put pressure on City, put pressure on Arsenal, even a little pressure on Villa if they want to stick around, and stay tighter to the top. Obviously, they have Ipswich tomorrow, so they should be able to you'd assume they will take care of business. We moved the calendar forward to Wednesday. What do you think Slot will do? If it were up to you, what changes would you make from today's starting 11 for Wednesday at home in the Champions League?
I mean, I think he's going to go with Gapco on the left. And I think that you're going to have Diaz. I think that Nunez is going to start up in the middle, and I think you'll probably have either Mo will probably be there with Archiesa will be there in that spot for the right. I think Jones deserves a start right there at that number 10 spot, and I think that he will, and I think Szoboszlai is going to sit down again to maybe come on toward like the 70th minute. But I mean, those are the biggest changes I would make, and I think that Slot's going to make those same type of changes also, because I think we're going to see the rotation is going to happen with these Champions League matches, especially with the Bologna side. That's I think is still sitting like 10th, I think in the Serie A, something like that. So I mean, you need to kind of keep fresh legs. I mean, I know we have Crystal Palace right after that coming up right after that in like 2 days, 3 days after that. So yeah, you have to go with their rotate, but. Yeah, I definitely see that that front line is going to be rotated.
Kazi, how about you? I think I know you're starting Jones for Szoboszlai, that's for damn sure, but you were to started him for Szoboszlai the first week of the season. Yep. So who other than Jones do you foresee making a start? Do you think there might be potentially a surprise in there somewhere, either across the back line or somewhere in the midfield, other than just Jones and Gakpo coming in for Diaz and Szoboszlai?
I can see 4 or 5. I can see Costas doing Robertson because of this little knock he might have taken now. I can see Costas playing, or even Gomez playing left back. I don't see Robertson starting. I think he'll go. This is so hard. Because I think he does do Jones, I think he does Gakpo, and then the argument is, do you do Endo and Gravenberch, and then take your McAllister? But he just loves McAllister, and I understand that, by the way. I completely get his point if he wants to keep riding the legs off McAllister. Liverpool in a very interesting position here, because if you win the first 6 points, I think we're all on the same ballpark that you might only need about 14 to qualify in the top 8, and you've got 6. So there's an argument here. Do you want those fucking 2 dead rubbers to be dead rubbers in January? Do you know what I mean? And if Liverpool are going for a league title, you don't want those 2 competitive games in January, especially with no more FA Cup replays.
Yeah, and if you're taking the League Cup seriously, you're adding 2 more games to January. So
because there's that thing as well. If you get so you got a League Cup third round game, 2 Champions League games with the potential League Cup semi-final, and then your league games all in January. So
and 1 FA Cup game.
Exactly, yeah, with your FA Cup third round game, which could be United away. Like that is a possibility. So there's an argument here to go as full strength as you can, win 4 of them, the first 4 or 5, and then you might have just qualified by default. Do you know what I mean? Like 15 points could be enough. And like I think we're all in the same ballpark. 15, 16 might get you 8th. Do you know what I mean? And then Liverpool can kind of just pick up the next 2 draws, for example. No matter who you're going to get in that top 8, it's always going to be a big team that you're playing anyway. That's my opinion. Doesn't matter if you finish 8th or 1st, they're going to be boss. Whoever they are, they're going to be boss. So it doesn't matter, in my opinion. So the manager might think like that. But I don't know how bad Darwin's illness is. I don't know if he's going to be ready for Wednesday.
That's my thing. I think if this was more precautionary and he's not really sick and he can't get around the team or he can't train, I think if he trains a couple times with Jota playing 90 minutes today, to me, it kind of makes sense. You start Darwin and Gakpo and Mo. You have Chiesa, Diaz, and, Jota to come off the bench. Jota could use a little rest. I think that it's smart. I would do Jones. I kind of like the shout of Endo if you don't have to make wholesale changes. I think if Robo can't go, I think it might be Gomez just because I thought it was kind of telling today. I think in a 2-1 game when you're the backup left back who's been the backup left back, but only coming on really in positions where they were either looking for an extra goal, trying to chase a game, kill a game off. I think it might be telling that some of the frailties that have been shown in Simicast's defending are the type of things that Schlatt doesn't get down with. And I think you could even see it with Trent today. Because can we put to bed the idea that if Trent wants to defend, he can clearly defend. He was good defending today. He had a couple loose moments. He's going to always go too far forward. But he's in better defensive positions now than he used to be in. And all of a sudden, he's not getting exposed constantly every single week. So I think part of it was the tactics, too, of what was happening with Trent.
I want to say as well, I think we need to remember that we play Palace Saturday morning, which that's got to be on the manager's mind, that you finish up against Bologna at fucking 10 p.m. on Wednesday. And then, by the way, we're going down to fucking Palace Friday. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's got to be in the manager's mind as well. So I'm probably with you, Gally, a little bit. It's telling on Kostas, but I think he does Gomez left back. I think he might do Endo. I think he might, if Darwin's ready to go, I think he does Darwin and Gakpo and, of course, Jones. They'll be my 5 anyway.
I'd make those changes. I like all those changes. I think Gomez needs a little bit of run. I would like to see, to your point, Kazi, I've been saying all along, I want to see Kwanzaa get another start in the league soon. Like eventually, when we have the big Real Madrid match in midweek, or when we have Leverkusen coming in after the next international, maybe you just find a spot. I do think there is something about getting that stank of getting that hook. He handled it great. I thought he looked very well, but I do think there's something, especially for a young player, it would go a long way. So I won't talk to either of you before the match. So what are we thinking on Wednesday? Brian, we'll start with you. What's your prediction for a score, and how important are the 3 points?
I mean, I'm still going with probably a 2-0 because I think with that rotation we're going to have, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing Tyler Morton get minutes in this Bologna match either, because I mean he's actually been fairly solid right there with it. It's showing he's a lot better than being in the U21s. I mean, with 2 goals, and his goal he scored yesterday was a really really nice goal. So I mean, I think the 6 points is definitely important because, like Kasia said, I think that 14 to 15 points is going to get you through that 8, so that top 8. So I want to avoid that little the round of 32 or whatever you want to call it right there, because I don't want to be in that mess. I'd rather go straight to 16 so that our fixtures right there will be a lot better in February and March. I mean, and a little bit more relaxed and all that. But another one point I just want to make real quick before I get to the stop right there is, do you think that we kind of got ourselves in a dilemma with the number 9 slot right there, with having Nunez injured and then Jota, with only having really 2 solid type number 9 type players and the healthy? If one goes down, then you're kind of forced to come there play Jota, or you're forced to play Nunez. I mean, where we don't have those options to rotate.
I got a feeling that if he needed to, he wouldn't feel so uncomfortable with Chiesa or Mo through the middle, to be honest. Okay. If he had to play either of them in the middle, I don't think that would arse him at all. I think you will see a day, there'll be a match where Chiesa and Mo are playing together and they're interchanging at the center and the right, the way that Mane and Bobby and them used to. I think, personally, I think right now the beauty is we have a fluidity of the front 6 that we have 2 deep at each position. We also have a couple guys who can fill in if they had to. The one thing I will say is it does look to me like he has settled on supporting the fact that Gakpo feels comfortable on the left and would rather not play through the middle. And I think the manager is supporting that with his actions. And in some ways, it's probably a detriment to Gakpo because he might have gotten a start by now if he was more comfortable playing through the center. But he likes it out left. And if a player feels comfortable somewhere, as seen by Gravenberch this year in a deeper role, as seen by basically everyone in the setup but Szoboszlai at this point, that to me is the conundrum. It needs to be answered. And I think Kazi's onto something. I think the answer is Curtis Jones right now. It may be Harvey Elliott later, and it may even be Chiesa at some point down the line. The manager showed he's willing to play 4 when he played Jota in midweek and started him, in that hole. So it'll be interesting to see where we go and what comes next. So for everybody here at the channel, thank you as always for watching Up the Top of the Table Reds. We will be back tomorrow morning for a full morning show. So if you haven't yet, give a subscription. That will get you all the notifications, all the updates. And as we always do when we win, we leave with 80s porn music. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.